the thing that I think the takeaway from a lot of this is a lot of the idea of knowing when a record is finished is really about not a consensus, but like you said, trust, and having people involved in the process that you as a person who doesn't know if it's finished has people around to help you figure that out, from friends to a great mixing engineer to managers and labels to other artists to whatever. It really is about does it translate? And one of the big ways to figure that out, other than your own experience, and somebody asked in there, when do you know to trust? When did you learn to trust yourself? And the truth is, you don't always know.
Never.
And you need perspective, and you need to. It's really, you need honestly, other people to give you perspective.
It's a feeling too. Like, okay, so on a more specific note, when do I think the first pass is ready to send to the artist or the producer or the team? Like, it's always different. Like, it could take 2 hours, it could take a day, it could take 2 days, it could take 45 minutes. Like, are you going to collaborate on notes with that team, or are they kind of like, you know, expecting it to be done in one pass? Like, it's always going to be different, but it's a feeling. Like I said earlier, I start from the top all the time. When I can get through the whole song, that's the first time I actually think to myself, which I'm in a flow state a lot, so I don't actually think when I'm mixing, and that's another conversation. I'm aware that I don't really know how to speak about it because you kind of can't.
That's fine.
But it would be fun to try to talk about it. But when I can get through the whole song, the first time I actually say to myself, oh, it's almost done. Like, that's when it's almost done, because I never listen from start to finish if things are getting in the way. And once I can get down, it's like, okay, it's close. And I usually stop for a long break, whether that's to go make an espresso, go outside, get an espresso, go eat some lunch. And then I come back with fresh perspective and then do the last few notes that could take me 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or another 3 hours, you know, but at least I know it's close to something and it's a feeling. And you get better at that feeling the more you do, you know.
I totally agree with that. I was looking at some of the questions. Somebody asked about, let's see, where was it? It's like they were asking about timeline. Man, maybe it was maybe I missed the question. But to me, when producing a record, which is obviously different than the mixing process, when producing a record, for me, it's so much about the very first thing that happens in the record up through basically all of the parts. So even if it starts with a chorus, getting through the first like proper chorus, once that's there, then the song to me has an identity, and then it's time for finishing mode. And it's not literally this all the time, but when I think about songs, it's like if the very beginning of the song, however it's starting, up through the first real chorus. If it starts with a chorus, then maybe, but like, what's the arc of the main parts of the song? When that's there, and again, the song's already written, but I'm just talking about going through on a production, then I get into finishing brain of, okay, is the first note right? Is the vocal at the right level here? Does the arc feel good through this first chorus? And then you're not copying and pasting out, but you have a rough idea of what the rest of the song is going to feel like. Unless you're, you know, a sicko mode type record, which just is going to take a left turn and you're going to put another song in there. Talking about one song, the very first note through the first repetition of the chorus, that's like if you have that as an identity, from there you're just building the rest of it. And some of that is mixing, some of that is arrangement, some of that is perspective. And then the next milestone is the thing you talked about, which is if I listen through it all the way through and there aren't gaping holes and it makes sense, I go, okay, this is getting close. And then I go into all the little refinements, and then it's lots of perspective. And by the way, then I might go, somebody asked one of the questions, do you ever just rebuild a production from scratch? I've definitely done that. I've definitely gotten to the point where, man, this feels really great. Fuck, I want to start all over. And then I just do, I mean, obviously I save it, but then I start all over. But the idea of what's
happening in the mix too.
What's happening at the beginning of the song and starting from there and having an arc that seems to make sense, that to me is how to think about finishing and how to think about getting there.
Look, a song has a life. The life of the song can be injected in any part of the process, and sometimes it's not till the end, and sometimes it's ingrained right from the beginning. And the job of finishing, whoever's doing it, is to recognize that the life is ready to be lived. And I know that's a little bit vague, but it's a feeling, and you really get it. And it kind of comes back to that. You're like, people are going to get this. And that's when you know that a song is finished. Yeah. What are you going to say?
And people are going to get this, and you're playing it for people and they get it. I mean, that's part of it too.
Yeah.
There are very few songs that I've ever felt were finished without getting perspective of other people hearing it.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's like I'm finishing something and then sending it to the artist for the first time, I still want it to feel complete. And I'm always playing it for someone else. Obviously, COVID time's a little harder because people aren't coming in and out a lot, but getting perspective is a hugely important thing.